I watched a video by The Conscious Man. It popped up in my feed, and I wanted to make a kind of response. And this isn't meant to be criticism, and if it comes off that way, then um, I don't know what to tell you. Um, this is a cautionary tale, and this is something that I see a lot with these sorts of manosphere communities, self-improvement type deals. And I know that if you're watching this, The Conscious Man, I know that you're not, I've seen a couple of things from you. I know that you're not in that, you're sort of trying to off ramp people off that path, which is great. I think that's needed. Um, but you made a video, or he made a video, whoever's watching, called Cold Approaching Her Equals Ego Death. And I understand the concept. I know what he's getting at. I get it. But I want to paint a cautionary tale, okay? Because there's a little bit of romanticism of this sort of idea that, you're going to become a man if you go talk to women. And I know that's a really reductive message from the video. To kind of steelman it, I guess, is to say that, if you put yourself out there, and you kind of just grab your eggs and just talk to women and say, I'm going to do it. If she doesn't like me, she doesn't like me, but I have to do it because I can't keep doing what I'm doing. It's not working. And so by doing that, by approaching a woman and having the courage to risk rejection, that, it's a form of ego death, or, it's some kind of knowledge, it's some kind of realization, which leads you to kind of change your perspective. And that is true. It can do that. It can do that. But here's the cautionary tale, okay? Validation can change your perspective, and not for the better. Not for the better. And I don't want people to get up in arms about this. This is a warning. I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to keep you away from intimacy. This is actually the crux of the problem, in my view. If you are fixated on needing to talk to a woman, maybe it's out of loneliness, it's out of lack, it's out of the fact that you feel like you're at that age and you need to do it, or whatever, man, whatever. That's a problem in and of itself. Needing to talk to a woman, and as harsh as this is going to sound, that's a you problem. And talking to a woman is not going to sort that out. That is a deeper issue, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to paint a picture for you that's a little bit easier to see, because right now I might sound like I'm moralizing, and that's not what I'm doing. So here is the story of a guy who goes on the path of cold approaching, okay? And I know these people exist. I know they do. So you have a fear. You're one of these people, you've always been awkward, or you're not good in groups, or you just don't really have these types of interactions in your day-to-day life. It just doesn't fit into your schedule and the way you do things, and so it just doesn't happen. And so you start to put yourself out there, which is great. It's growth, it's experience, it's breaking out of your shell and gaining a little bit of confidence. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing it blindly, you're at high risk. So picture the guy that is scared or just has a little bit of anxiety, and he goes out and he cold approaches. If you don't know what cold approaching is, it means when you're a guy and you just walk up to someone that you find attractive and you just start talking to them. You don't know who they are. It's literally that. You're just cold approaching. So you're an anxious person and you go do it. Let's say it doesn't work out. So you go and do it again. Or let's say it does work out. Either or, it doesn't matter. Eventually, how this works is you do it again and again and again, and you might get kind of good at it. You might actually learn to be a little bit more sociable and approachable yourself, and you're not as awkward, you're not shaking when you talk to somebody. But what is actually happening here? You're numbing yourself to rejection. You're numbing yourself to your inner fear. And that fear is still there. So what you're doing, in a sense, is you're fabricating a crutch out of nothing, out of experience. It's almost like you're having 3 fireballs or 3 tequila shots and then hitting the streets. Except you're not drinking. You're just doing this via experience. And people will say that this is the right way to do it. That you want to go out, you want to be successful, you got to get some notches in your belt, whatever. But you're not really solving your actual issue. Because if you're out looking for women, okay, and it's because you feel like you have to, and because you have so much fear of approaching, you're not addressing the problem. You're covering it up, is what you're doing. You're covering it up. And it's not fear of women. It's not what it is. It's deeper than that. It is a deep sense of lack. It is a purposelessness. If you've ever seen somebody that walks and talks with a purpose, they don't hide themselves. They don't really have fear. They're not concerned with people's thoughts about them. They're not afraid to say, hey, you. And they're not doing it to achieve some type of validation. And that's the place you actually want to get to. But that requires a lot of work. It requires that you give up this chase of validation. And that's going to be hard to do if you're in your prime years and you feel lonely and you just think that the intimacy of a woman's going to save you from yourself. It is not. It is not. Even if you get a little bit of action, it ain't going to help you. It's not going to help you. And you're not going to find purpose on this road. It's going to take you down a dark path, because this is what happens. You get good at it. And now what you're doing is you're brute forcing yourself into these cold approaches in order to overcome your fear. But you're not overcoming it. You're suppressing it. You're compensating for it. And it's just like an addiction, okay? You're leaning on your experience to make decisions that should otherwise feel natural. but they never feel natural because deep down inside you feel out of place. And the reason why this is a cautionary tale is because if you're not careful and you don't know what you're doing, you're just trying, you think you're fixing a problem, which is loneliness, which you think that that's the problem. You could spend the next 10 years of your life bar hopping and getting addicted to breadcrumbs of validation. And that's what's going to happen to you the moment it clicks for you that, oh, I'm not a repulsive piece of crap. Somebody out there does like me, or they're willing to talk to me and give me the time of day. That's the worst thing that could happen for you. If you're not conscious of what you're doing, if you think you're solving this surface level problem, which is, I need to find a woman to satisfy my needs. That's a surface level problem. As much as it hurts, and I know being lonely can feel like crap, okay? But you're going to end up becoming addicted to your own success. And you're going to go out there and you're going to chase it, and you're going to spend years of your life thinking that there's something on the other end of that for you. And I'm telling you right now, there's not. There's a lot of people who are not going to be around. They're not going to stick around. They're one and done. You can't trust them. They've got their own issues. It's not going to work. This is not going to fix you. It's not going to fix you. And I understand why he's calling it ego death. I get that. But this is not ego death. You know, all you're really doing is you're going and realizing that you're not as bad as you think you might be. That's only going to feed your ego. That's going to feed your ego. That's going to make you go and go, oh, look at all this power I have. Look at all this influence I have. I can get people to listen to me. I can get them to like me. It's not what you think it is. It's not. And so that brings me to part 2, which is the deep problem. You have a meaning crisis, and that's what everyone's talking about right now. You know, John Vervaeke talks about it. If you're in these circles, you know it's a thing. And me personally, I don't think you're going to find meaning at the bottom of a shot glass. You're not going to find meaning by making it up or going to the gym and getting big muscles. There's lots of guys stuffed to the brim with tren and test, and they are on the verge of jumping off a bridge. There's lots of people who go to the gym because they have nothing else. Imagine, you don't have to imagine, some of you do this. It's like you go to work, you go to the gym, rinse and repeat until Friday, you hit the bar and you pray you catch something, and you just keep, you're on the hedonic treadmill. The gym's not going to save you. It's more productive, I guess, but what does productive mean to you? What is productivity? Is life about productivity? Is that what you want to be? Because if that's what you want to be, I mean, you can go to the Amazon warehouse. They'll teach you all about productivity there. So what is this about then? That's the question. What is this about? You've got to figure that out on your own. And if you have to walk around the desert in circles for 10 years, a desert filled with bars, then that's going to be your path. And you're going to be miserable at the end of it. Now, some people will say, oh, I found my wife at a bar. Good for them. You know why they probably found their wife at the bar? Because they weren't really looking for their wife at the bar. That's probably why it happened. I mean, have you seen those people? Like, seriously, the guy, you know the stereotype. It's the beefy, laid back guy who's just having a brewski with the boys, and he just meets this, wholesome girl at the bar, or maybe not wholesome's the word, but you know what I mean. And you know that he's the kind of husband material. He's just that kind of guy. And if that's you, then knock yourself out. But I don't think that's a lot of you. Not if you're consuming this kind of content. You're not exactly husband material. And it's not because you're not earning enough money, or you don't have big enough delts, or you're not talking to enough women. That's not why you're not husband material. You probably have a somewhat hollow existence that you are filling up with hobbies and self-improvement, and that's only going to get you so far. It's going to do the opposite of ego death. It's going to feed your ego, and you're going to keep feeding it, thinking that this bear is going to go out and catch something for you. That bear's going to turn around and maul you, is what's going to happen. So, if you want a cold approach or go out and live that life, do you. If you're a young person, you know what? You're going to make mistakes. That's just how it is. If you're doing this because you feel like you're late in life or something like that, ask yourself, what is that impulse? What are you late to? If you have this feeling like, I should have been in this, I should have done this, but I'm late, where's that coming from? You can say it's coming from society, but has anybody said that to you directly? How come you're not married? I mean, I guess, parents can be that way sometimes. But for the most part, I bet that that's never been said to you, if you're watching this. There's a voice in you that's telling you that you need something. And if you listen to what it's telling you, the thing that it says you need is something that's going to feed your ego. If you listen close to that voice, that's your ego. So feed it at your own will. It's your risk to take, but I'm warning you, it's not going to work. It isn't going to work, and you're going to be consuming videos for the rest of your life. Well, not for the rest of your life, for a long time, about how to spot clean your life, how to fix these little issues. How do I get bigger triceps? Are your triceps going to fix your loneliness and your emptiness? You know the answer. I don't have to tell you that. So, you should cold approach. You should do it. You should do it just to see what it feels like. And then, after that, ask yourself, do I feel better or worse? Why? And then ask why. Because you could feel good about it, and you may not want to ask why. You're just going to say, well, you know what? I did it. It works. Fire it up. Let's do it again. Because you're not thinking. You're feeling this high of success, or what you think is success, and you're going to keep going after it. So this is 20 minutes. I think I've made my point. It's your life to live. It's your mistake to make. If you want to chase nothing, if you want to chase plugging up this hole in the dam with bubble gum, I hope you don't. Thanks for watching.